All right. So I've done a few of these videos, well, more than a few, just kind of vlog type of crap. And I'm just going to start calling them Magnus's rambling rants because there really isn't a single topic. I know the last one was about Lancaster hobby and the worst place I ever lived. And it was really just a brief response to somebody's comment and then stuff about training and other stuff. So kind of silly to put a title and it's nothing to do with that. By the way, I need to shave. I should have shaved earlier, but so I'm actually looking at myself in the mirror. I'm not that much of a narcissist. I don't do it that often. So if I'm looking a little patchy and a little unkempt, apologies. I've covered this in other videos you haven't seen. You might wonder why I'm always wearing this fucking green shirt. It's a Cleveland Browns shamrock, and it's because one of our cats has a tendency to claw the crap out of our clothing. So when I'm around the house, I tend to only wear one shirt that gets kind of wrecked. Even though I do like this shirt. In fact, should have got a second one. So I have other shirts, but I tend to wear that one when I'm just messing about in case it gets kind of jacked up. In fact, I never wear t-shirts when I go out. So always wear a button-up shirt or something. I always dress business casual when I go out all the time, at least. So if I'm not wearing a blazer or a suit, I'll be at least wearing like a nice button-up shirt and always pants. Never wear shorts, no matter how hot it is. And the only thing I might separate is I don't tend to wear dress shoes just for comfort of walking around all day and stuff. So I wear these, wear like a black sneaker that kind of doesn't stick out too much, but just personal preference there. So I only wear t-shirts just around the house and stuff, and shorts, around the house or training in the gym. And so, anyways, it doesn't really matter. I did see somebody commented on one of my nuclear war videos, um, the Ukraine escalation 2024, and it basically called into question that the United States nuclear arsenal is older than Russia's, and that their failure rate should be at a higher percentage than Russians' failure rate that I baked in there. Well, again, it's simulation, so you're going to have to bake in something, but I'd also call into question. Yes, they have worked on newer nuclear weapons. Very few of them are operational, for that matter. Just like the SARMATs, which said that just only recently, in the last less than a year, have claimed they even had any operational, and we don't have good intelligence on actually how many are. Uh, but there has been a marked history of Russian weapon systems since the fall of the Soviet Union and their capabilities being overstated and under delivering. And on the flip side, in the United States, at least now in the last 2 decades, of their stuff being understated and over delivering as far as capabilities go. Just point to the recent Patriot system that shot down the A-50 AWACS and the Russians, and it would have been at a distance which exceeded their known range. And look, and this is not me. I know there's the Russian fanboys. There's the opposite side. The total USA and Russia sucks and evil in the world. I'm not one of those people on either side of it, to be honest with you. Try to look at things completely objectively. So I acknowledge that there would be potential U.S. failures on their nuclear systems. They had a test failure on ICBM recently. They don't have a high rate of failure in tests. The Russian systems have had a higher rate of failure, especially testing out some of their newer prototype weapons. That one nuclear powered cruise missile, there was that whole incident that happened a couple years ago, among others. So either way, you're going to have to, anytime you run a simulation, you're going to have to bake in a certain amount of numbers. That's what I chose for it, and I stand behind it. And again, I think people read some headlines and stuff, but when you look in there and stuff, and I'll do some videos that kind of look in there, but I'll be honest with you, a lot of people don't like watching that stuff. They really just like the high level overview of things. Tends to be, and that's fine. People don't like more in depth stuff sometimes, and some people do. And so that's why I try to balance it out. But I think the idea that just because some of the weapon systems in the United States have been there deployed for quite a while, I mean, like the F-16 is a 50-year-old airframe. It still performs admirably well under the circumstances that they use it under. I mean, the F-22 Raptor, I mean, that's crap. I mean, how old is that? It's not necessarily a new weapon system, but again, that's why it depends on upkeep, maintenance, a lot of different factors. And nobody's going to be perfect. I know there was some Trident failures on the British side with their subs. I haven't seen that on the U.S. side, but again, just at some point you gotta, I want to say pull a number out of your ass, but you got to use the best intelligence you have on stuff that's very classified, and even stuff that's even classified, you don't really know until you start to do it. This guy's in special ops and stuff. Very one of those. Gosh, I can't remember his name now. Bob. Anyways, he was a Delta guy. I remember they put out a brief video about mag reloads, and people were like eviscerating him because he said it just wasn't that important. And if you want to focus on something, focus on ready up drills. And people were making fun of him. I can't remember his name now. It's Bob something. Anyways, hopefully he'll watch it someday. I'm a big fan of his stuff because he's absolutely right. Well, he talked about with training and stuff before the global war on terror. They were training a bunch of stuff, but they didn't know any better until they actually got in and started getting shot at and shooting back what worked and what didn't work. And they learned a lot of lessons that way. Well, thankfully, we haven't learned that. We haven't had the experience with nuclear warfare to know some of that stuff. So it's all going to be speculation and simulation and using the best models you can. And that's it. So nothing's going to be perfect. So you got to, at some point, draw a line and pick a number and go off of that. And you can, alter it. So it'd be easy for me to say, okay, well, we'll do 15% for the U.S. failure and 5% for the Russian failure and run it that way. So, but that's where I chose on the video. So, whatever. Anyway, so I appreciate the comment. Like I said, man, I'd love to actually, if anyone's ever interested, I would love to do like a podcast type of thing with some other people talking about it. 3 or 4 of us, anybody interested in the stuff, if everybody wants to debate or just shoot the breeze or whatever, have a beer. Huge, definitely would collaborate with somebody if anyone's ever interested, especially with the nuclear warfare stuff. So, and I'm always up front. I'm not in the defense industry. So I'm just a well-read person. And, but, more than the average. I'd say not a lot of people read about nuclear war and nuclear systems. Having said that, just to kind of segue and everything, training wise, I talked about it. I when I put out the video yesterday, I did like a 30-minute video, and my audio wasn't working because the one program on my computer defaulted the input device to my Quest Pro VR headset instead of my Yeti microphone. So none of it was recorded audio-wise. And so then when I went back and reset it and did the video correctly at that point, I didn't have, it wasn't the same. And I think right now it's been out for almost a day, and it's like 6 people watched it. I feel sorry for the 6 that watched it, to be honest with you, because it just wasn't very good. And I say that because there are some topics there that I did want to talk about. One of the things, if you watch these videos, and this is something I'm dealing with right now, this is when it comes to the weight training and bodybuilding side of stuff, or whatever you want to call it. If you see the video, you might even notice that this shoulder right here is kind of sets a little weird compared to this shoulder. Now, mind you, the camera is offset a little bit this way. Yeah, and that's mainly so I can kind of capture just some of the stuff in the background, like the Darth Vader with the Doctor Who scarf, the championship belt, and some of the movie posters. But even with the perspective, this shoulder is it's a thing. So what happened was 2022, yeah, in December 2022. So I was going through a pretty good strength phase. I was on a West Side barbell conjugate style training phase, and it was going great. My lifts were going back up. I had, because, with work and stuff, training and everything, I'll go through bouts and times. Sometimes I might take 6 months and just not do a whole lot, and then, come back and kind of hit things hard. It just depends. I was running some really big projects work-wise, and it was tough. There's a lot of stressful moments, but I was on a good strength phase, and I hit a 405 bench, and so, and I'm not, always say I'm not a great bench presser or anything. It's more of a deadlifter and kind of guy. So, hit a 405 bench, and things were feeling great. And maybe 2 weeks after that, and I forget whatever I saw because every week it was something rotating different. So, I might be doing a football bar press or a bow bar or against chains or whatever. I can't remember. I just remember I hit a standard bench with 405, and then like 2 weeks later, I was doing overhead, finishing training, hitting some arms, doing some overhead tricep extensions on cable machine. And maybe an hour later, my wife was driving. We were driving to Lexington, and I said, something's not right. My arms, it's like radiating, like something's in the back shoulder. It's radiating down my arm, and it's throbbing in my elbow and even down in the wrist, to the point that like I didn't feel comfortable driving. Like as a passenger, I didn't feel comfortable, and I wasn't sure what it was. And I remember when I had to go to work, not the Monday, maybe Tuesday, I had 18 different office locations, mainly 2 of them, but there's spread across. And so I was going to my Louisville office, and I had a tennis ball wedged between my seat and that, and I could still barely stand it. It was hard to sit at a desk. I could only sit at my desk for like 10 minutes. It was just so uncomfortable. It wasn't like it was a sharp pain, though. It was like a weirdest sensation. Long story short, like a week later, I go and I was like, well, let me train or whatever. And I remember I said, I think I want to hit arms. And so, supersetting some barbell curls with some skull crushers. So I do a set of barbell curls, and then I go to do a set of skull crushers. And it was lightweight, warm up or whatever. I think it was 25s on each side. And I'm like struggling. And I'm like, this doesn't feel right. Like, I shouldn't be struggling with this. And, it was like, it felt like weird. And I told my wife, I was like, something doesn't feel right. And I couldn't pinpoint it, but I was like, I'm just going to stop. I'm not going to do anything. And then 2 days later, went to do a bench session. And always warm up with a bar. So every thing was always the same. Do 2 sets with a bar, a set with 95, and then 135, 185, 225, and then from there. So did the bar, and it felt a little off. And long story short, I could do 95 pounds for 3 reps. And that was it. And so you're talking in just a week and a day or two's time frame, I went from 405 to 95 for 3. And that third one was ugly. And I tried to do like a tricep extension with just that one arm with a cable. I mean, you're talking 5 pounds, all I could do. So the point, like, I took a 20-pound dumbbell to do a dumbbell extension just to, like, on a negative, and I held it out, and as soon as I dropped, I couldn't hold it. It came out and hit me in the chest. Couldn't hold it out. And so I lost like all my strength on that side. Not so much on the bicep side, not so much on the shoulders, but chest, upper chest here, and the tricep. And it was obviously very demoralizing. It took a few months for me to kind of shake it a little bit. I ended up training and getting a lot of the strength back there, but it's still a situation where that side will fatigue faster. So, like trained arms today, if I'm doing extensions or some type of thing, at the beginning, both sides are fairly close, but it'll be quickly evident that I'm losing, fatiguing faster on this side. And so I think what caused it is my shoulders kind of naturally probably roll forward a little bit. And I've always had a little bit more of a overdeveloped chest. And so I think that creates a little tightness, which kind of pulls forward. And I really needed to fix that. So long story short, I started feeling pain in the bicep while benching. Thinking maybe it's tendonitis and everything. But I always heard a thing. Louis Simmons from Westside Barbell always said, if you have pain in your bicep when you're bench pressing, it's not from bench pressing, it's from squatting. And from squatting meaning with your hands back like this, you're putting pressure right there. And that's where I realized I had a mobility issue. So like on this side, I can, put my arm to the side. I can go all the way well past, the plane of my body. This side I can't. So I'm working right now to stretch it, to, do some rotator things. But that's one of the things I noticed just doing this. I was like, man, this shoulder just seems to sit weird in this one. And I think that was kind of a symptomatic issue that from the problems I'm having over there. So I'm working to try to fix that. It's not the most comfortable thing. So the more I'm stretching it, the more I'm working it. Also, the more it's like sore there. So went to train. I'm doing arms today and did some, we call them, our press. It's where you have like a hex dumbbell and you hold them together and you're pressing. And really we try to focus on triceps. So it's like a close grip dumbbell press. And depending on how you kind of push, you can either focus more on your triceps or your inner chest. And we were focused on our triceps because we were training arms. And, like I said, I don't train with like the West Side style anymore. Trained for many, many years using West Side Barbell. I'm from Columbus, Ohio. Trained with a lot of guys from West Side, but I don't train that style anymore. So it's just kind of a high volume bodybuilding style training. So we were supersetting biceps and triceps today. My wife's my main training partner. Got that our crazy gym and everything. We're going through a thing because we're really hitting it pretty hard. So we're pretty beat up right now. Although, to be honest, I did 16 more sets than she did this week because I got in a delt training that she got stuck. She got a flat tire on her way to the market. And thankfully we actually have the run flat tires on there for Mercedes, and but it flagged up, and she was going to Walmart, and they got their little service center, so they're able to get it taken care of, but it took like 2 or 3 hours. So I was able to get in some delt training, especially hitting the side and rear delts, and she wasn't. So I'm 16 sets up from her, and so I have trained a little bit more in her this week. So we're both pretty beat up, but I am a little bit more beat up than she is. So I think she tried to get in like 5 sets the other day. That's a good thing about having a gym, at your house, because basically the first floor is the gym, the second floor is our house. And so you can just go train whenever you want. And so sometimes we'll try to sneak in, to get a few extra sets in against the other person. And so, but I am definitely a little bit more this week, especially. So, and she's going to watch it. She's going to be annoyed because it's the second time in a video I brought it up. You gotta talk a little crap to your training partners and stuff. So, especially when you're up and everything. But no, in all seriousness, I've talked about it before, but my wife's been training with me now basically since we met. Maybe after, not exactly, because shortly after we met, I had to have surgery on my hand, so I was out, but you know, for actually the vast majority of it. And she's been reliable. She's went through and done every, always best training partner of all time. So she's a trooper, and she's had to have surgery and stuff for her shoulder and other stuff, and she actually cracked 2 ribs doing some heavy dumbbell pullovers. Still trained for 2 weeks before she went to the doctor. Just crazy stuff. Knees jacked up, and some thunder. Her elbow had to have surgery there, shoulder. But she's a trooper with that stuff. She grinds it out, trains high volume with me, and she got really good genetics when it comes to it. For somebody that's a lifetime drug-free natural who never really didn't start any type of serious weight training until older and everything. But she made some fantastic. She's made fantastic progress and everything. Man, she's cooking dinner right now. Smells phenomenal. I'm starving. Of course, gotta have the beer for the fluid replenishment. And so, like I said, not a lot of people watch these, and I don't blame them. But just gonna, if I don't have anything going on, sometimes I just jump on here and start talking. And so, I got trying to get her to play Literal Commander. So one of those board war games, well, map encounter war games and everything, put out by Sebastian Bay. Maybe I mispronounced his last name. I don't know. The Dietz Foundation, which is a good group. They do a lot of work with schools and stuff, and highly recommend. It's a great war game system if you're into board wargaming. I got an unboxing video on the channel I did a while back. It's represents some different clashes between the U.S. Navy and Marines and the China PRC naval and Marine units. So highly recommend checking it out. It's I love wargaming and stuff, and some of the more sophisticated ones. But I like miniature wargaming too. So do a lot of that. You might be able to see in the background. It's a little hard sometimes. YouTube compresses the video, but I got some trees I made back there for some of my medieval wargaming and stuff, and I got some other things I'm working on that front. Oh man. So anyway, some exciting things on the horizon. So I got the what if the Korean atomic weapons were used by the United States in the Korean War? So I got that I'm working on. That's similar to the Cuban Missile Crisis gone hot. I've got one I'm working on, the rebuttal to Annie Jacobson. And I've got and it's actually done. I just need to post it, my video on how to make model scenery bushes. Because I think I have a good method on that, called the SAC method. And still got the review for some piece of gym equipment that I noticed there wasn't a lot on YouTube. But yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I can't stand most of the YouTube content creators when it comes to gym equipment and home gym stuff and everything like that. They're the biggest bunch of douchebags I've ever seen in my life, to be honest with you. They are. And so, whereas I want to do it because there's some piece of equipment that maybe, like me, I would look up and see, does somebody have this, and what do they say? And it's not necessarily covered out there. But I'll tell you, most of them, they get their shit sent to them for free. And then they'll be selling it on Marketplace afterwards, and I'm like, I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of that, and the way they even talk and unboxing videos. I guess maybe a hypocrite because I have an unboxing video for Literal Commander, but that was brand new, and I was trying to help get the word out to people because I thought it was a great game system. It wasn't heavily advertised, and I think what they're doing, the Dietz Foundation, is a great thing. But having said that, most of these unboxing videos, like I said, it's the dumbest thing in the world. It's like, okay, it's a box. It's open. It's a pieces. I mean, if there's something to tell somebody, like when you're assembling it, like, hey, this is kind of tricky, so you may want to look out for this or that. Or once it's put together and you use it and say, hey, this is great, this works good, or this doesn't, that's fine. But just an unboxing video, it's like, man, I don't know. I put it right up there with these videos people put out, the dumbest shit in the world. They take somebody else's video and they just put themselves beside it, and it's just like them looking at the camera, like, oh, reacting to it. It's like, what? You don't even make content. You just steal other people's shit and make stupid fucking faces into the fucking camera. I mean, you're worthless. You are worthless. You know, you're an idiot. I can't believe it. Like, sometimes I'll see a reel or something and I click on it because I'm a jackass. And I'm like, why did I click on it? Because it's helping to support these dumbasses that aren't actually doing anything but stealing other people's stuff. Hate it. Can't stand it. And if you're one of those people, you know, just go fuck yourself, to be honest with you. Sorry for the curse words. Maybe I'll get dinged from YouTube about that, but I'll be honest with you. It's a pet peeve of mine. I don't like to curse in these videos and everything. But I can't be annoyed more than seeing that crap. So, all right. I'm rambling, but that's the whole thing. It's called Rambling Rants. Exactly. You're forewarned if you clicked on it. So, hey, it is what it is. Anyways, though, I will say, in parting, I have some people that are regularly commenting, watching the videos and stuff. You guys are great. You make me want to do more stuff and to put more effort into it. So I appreciate it. Like I said, I don't do this for money. It's, and even if I have goals I set for myself to grow the channel, but it's never about making money. It's just I like to do the content and people are interacting with me and stuff. So that's my only goal. I'm never going to be, nuclear war simulation isn't going to make me some, one of these jackass, social media stars or whatever the F they are, zero talent, worthless idiots. But hey, people like to watch, I guess. So what are you going to do? People want to watch it, they want to watch it. But still say that, they have zero talent whatsoever. No thing. But hey, people like seeing things. But I will say, for those that I do think have talent and do a good job and everything, there are some people out there. Mike Israel with Renaissance Periodization. I think he's got some fantastic material when it comes to training and stuff. I don't necessarily agree with 100% everything he says, but he's probably one of the better ones. Dave Tate with Elite FTS, phenomenal content creator, hilariously funny, and I actually credit him, even though I've never met him, but I credit him with helping me out in a business sense, learning some stuff from some of his videos that helped me in a professional life. And as far as wargaming and stuff, there's other stuff I'll have to add to it, but there's some other great content creators out there for the wargaming, for the simulation, just defense news in general, and that do a far better job than I ever could. And there are some real jackasses out there. So it's the internet, I guess. Have a great day, great weekend, and enjoy. Thanks.